Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to my channel. I'm Terry at Holding Your Space, and this is Joan of Joan of Angels. I'm so excited.
I am too.
Oh, Joan, I've been a huge fan for a long time. Joan, for those that haven't heard of her by now, is a galactic healer, an angel fluffer, which I love that. And you bring people, well, how would you describe it? You connect them to their angels, to their galactic beings, to their subconscious, to their superconscious.
Well, you've kind of explained it all. But so for years, my mission has been to help people remember who they are and why they're here, and then to help them activate their superpowers so they can do the work they came here to do, and to connect them to the gods and to their divinity, and to actually hold that higher vibrational frequency and turn up their light. So that is what I do. I'm a spiritual advisor and I'm an oracle of ancient wisdom. So I have my own memories coming back, and I love activating other people's memories. And I create sacred art that actually reminds people also of how powerful they are. So that is how I work here.
I love that. And you travel all around doing seminars and um, you're always on the go, it seems like lately.
Well, it wasn't always that way. I was called, when I was named Joan of Angels, I actually was told by my guides to move to the desert. And so I moved to the desert, and for 7 years, I barely left the house. I did a lot of art, did a lot of channeling, but I rarely left the house. I was being trained, and I laughed. Jesus had 7 weeks, I had 7 years. But then I knew it was time to leave, and I just did not have a hit about living anywhere. I just did not know where I wanted to be. Couldn't figure it out. And I wasn't even, so when my friend Neil from Portal to Ascension came along, he has a Portal to Ascension as a consciousness raising program. You've probably seen him also. He runs hundreds of online and a few in-person webinars around the world now. And he invited me to work with him. We had already done a few conferences together and had been friends for years. So he invited me to work with him. And August 14th last year, I moved out of the desert and put all my art in storage. I have probably 100 pieces of art in storage. Don't even know when I'm going to go back and visit it again. But I just said, okay. Up until then, I was holding on to where I was for dear life. I used to have visions of me just holding on to those rocks, like, don't let me go. I don't know where I'm going. So I actually am an agent of transformation for people now. And I've been traveling for this August is a year that I have been traveling this way. And it looks like I'm going to be re-upping for another year.
Wow.
I know it's kind of strange, but it's working out. And I'm anchoring light codes. And my real dream has been to speak around the world, to heal and inspire people around the world. That's what I was told when I was 30. I was here to heal and inspire millions of people. And then I was told by the ETs to raise their vibrational frequency, which I've already known anyway, and to connect people to the heavens and earth. And I am walking that now.
I think that's so beautiful. I feel like every single one of us at some time in our life think, where am I going? What am I doing? And to have someone like you available to help us to answer those questions is amazing.
Well, we all need mentoring. At some point, we
Yeah.
all need a little guidance, or someone that we can bounce our ideas off of, so that we can, first of all, know that we're not crazy. But second of all, so I call them a miracle ally. We all need miracle allies that would help us, that see us in our most greatest potential. Those are the kind of allies that we need. And so when we get these downloads of, well, I'm supposed to go to Greece, and then we say yes, they're not telling us, what are you, crazy? Why are you leaving your home? You're not going to have a home. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? And so we get these brilliant downloads and we follow our intuition, but our family or friends may or may not support that. So there's an art form to learning how to navigate your own visions and dreams.
Sure, sure. Um, and yeah, so I love that that's available. And being an oracle, I mean, I love the way that the energy, the sound of that word is amazing. But what does it feel like?
Well, the reason I started calling myself an oracle is that I've had visions of myself going and swimming to the Oracle of Delphi. I was I was supposed to be swimming with the dolphins in Costa Rica. My
Uh-huh.
girlfriend dives off the boat. She, in fact, rips off her life preserver, right? She dives into the boat, off the boat, and there's the dolphins over there. So I jump in with my life preserver and try to paddle out, but I get very seasick. The waves are very high. I get very, very seasick. And instead, I had to actually be lifted back into the boat and I passed out. I mean, the pilot of the boat, the captain's going, "Don't you want to go swim with them anymore?" I was passed out. But I was passed out having this vision that I was swimming with the dolphins. I was a mermaid. I mean, this is a true story. I was a mermaid and I was swimming with the dolphins. And to my left was Poseidon with his trident. He was about 200 feet tall. He was huge. And there I am swimming with the mermaids to the Oracle of Delphi. And I had always suspected that I was one of the oracles. And so since then, I've had several visions of the last time I had a vision with Poseidon, he was on my right. But I've had visions of that. And then this summer in October, I'm going both to Athens so I could be back in the original Colosseum where I saw myself healing millions of people. And I'm going to go to the Oracle of Delphi. I'm going to go to the Delphi, this place. And then next year, we're going to take a group of women. I don't want men, it's women oracles. But people who feel that call, we're going to do a tour of Greece, probably a 10-day tour of Greece where we go to the Oracle of Delphi and we go to the place of the gods where the gods resided. Because I know many of my followers, you included, have connected with the gods in other lifetimes. We've been priestesses. We've been renowned goddesses. We have those energies. We've been trained. We've been initiated. And the skills that we learned when we were initiated are so strong because I have chills as I'm telling you this. I haven't told anyone this.
I do too. I'm
First
just getting
person.
major downloads.
You're the first person, but this is what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to go and explore this year. After I do take 2 tours to Egypt, I'll explore Greece. And then next year, take a group of women. I think I'm hearing 22 women who want to remember their lives as the goddess and as the oracles. So an oracle, when I say oracle of ancient wisdom, and it was also a name given to me, but it's because when I bring in downloads, sometimes they're universal truths, sometimes they're for people, but it's guidance that comes from above. And I guess I have always been an oracle. And the oracles, I don't know if you know the history of the oracles. The oracles were chosen very specifically because they already could communicate with the gods, but they were kept, most of them were put on some kind of plant medicine. And they had very rigorous training. They had to work with snakes, with the python, the very dangerous snakes. So they learned to control their emotions. They learned to control their actions. They learned to channel direct those answers and answers for the gods too. So one of the people I used to work for, well, not one of them, but I was like a consort of the gods. I was the one they went to consult which way they should go. And that has been true in many lifetimes for me. And I have memory of this, so this is good.
Okay, this sounds silly, but I think I can feel my feet levitating when you're talking about this.
Oh my God, that's not silly. That is not silly, Terry. Maybe you'll come on this tour.
Oh,
Because, because this is important stuff. Well, people say, well, why is this important? We're living here 2023, 2024. Well, in order for us to make the shift over the next few years to 2030, make this ascension shift, it is very, very important that we ourselves make it and that we activate skills beyond the third dimension. And I'm talking about more skills than even telepathy or clairaudience, all the clairs, that most of us have, but the higher skills that we had of astral travel, of telepathy, of being able to actually command the energy around us. So I'm working now on those skills, because when we were initiates, it was not an easy process. It wasn't just like you just meditated and that was it. We when we did the higher initiations, we had pretty brutal initiations. We had to show that we could go to death and back. We had to be able to be in a cave for 2 days without food or water, or a week without light, food, or water, and be able to be alive by the time they got us.
Yeah.
And so, and in my case, I remember being in sarcophagus, and it explains to me why I have such a mortal claustrophobia.
Wow. That
And so we
explains
could
a
be
lot.
buried alive. We could be dropped off in the middle of the ocean. We could be put in a cave. We could be put in the middle of the jungle. We didn't know, but we were highly trained. And so even by my talking about it now, it should be tingling for you. It's like, oh my God, I'm remembering. So I'm calling all angels. I'm calling all of you who have worked with me in many lifetimes. If you feel that resonance, to reach out, just like you did, Terry, to do this, because the planet needs it. As I said about the timeline, there's a very strong control that's happening by the powers that be now. They have one timeline that they want humanity to go on. And
Right.
that's not the timeline we want. That's not the timeline that oracles and intuitives are going to thrive on, to put it bluntly.
Right.
And so we have to do the work now at a higher level than what we used to.
Well, and a lot of our group here, we have a meditation tribe, and we go on those journeys Monday through Friday. So to the light grid, and to space, and the violet flame, Lady Nada also. But so everybody here is working on this. So I think they're all very interested.
That's very, very exciting. Maybe I'll come to Kansas City.
Well, they're all over the world, but we just meet here.
I
But
know, isn't
come
that
to
fun?
Kansas City. Come to Kansas City. We'd love it.
Isn't that fun to meet on Zoom? Yeah, no, next year, because my schedule, I don't know where I'm going to be. And my guides told me I'm not going to be settling down. I'm actually going to be free to go to different places in the world or in the US to do this kind of light work. So
I love this. Everybody's saying how much this is needed, and I love what Flowing said. We are needed. You're right, honey.
oh my God, we are so needed. We are so needed. People are feeling hopeless. There is so much weirdness going on the planet. Even just like, I tried to get my daughters here with me in Portugal, and she can't get back to London because her flight's been delayed too. And in the UK, they're deliberately cutting down on flights and travel. And there's just so much going on, and threats of war and threats of recession and bank stuff and another disease coming, that we have to hold firm and go, that's the 3D world. We're not accepting it. We're going to transmute the energy. We're going to hold steady so that the people around us that work with us can feel that power within them. We're here to give them hope and keep their vibration, like keep their fire lit, keep that lamp on. What is it? Super 8 with that Motel 6, like we've got, I can't remember, used to have a great ad. We keep the fire on, or we keep the light on, but we do.
We keep the fire burning. I can't remember.
It's a funny commercial. I don't know. I don't have my car now. I don't hear the commercial anymore, but it's like, we keep that. We're here to keep the light burning and keep it so that we don't go dark again. There's a lot happening that could cause the planet to go dark again, like when Atlantis was destroyed and Lemuria was destroyed, and those civilizations of light were destroyed. And all the tablets, all the sacred teachings, all the sacred books were burnt, so we wouldn't have memory of it. because whoever the controllers, that's all I call them now, the controllers, didn't want us to remember how powerful we are and that we are all gods and creator gods. And so it's huge now because the planet's been going dark. And so it's up to us to keep the grid on, to keep the light on, to keep the vibrational frequency on, to be so motivated about who we are and what we're doing that we can, in fact, transform the planet. And yes, even us introverts are coming out and letting our voices be heard because it's important. It's not about us anymore. It's about keeping this light on. We don't want to see, a reversion of going back to when they burnt us at the stake for knowing what we know. And so this is also fighting for our own survival.
So do you feel like there'll be a split if this doesn't happen with light workers and like some of us going to 5-dimension and some of us staying in 3D?
I don't, probably, but I don't look at it that way.
Yeah.
Each person has activation and awakening encoded into their soul plan and into their very being. And when I was on the ship, I had a regression on the ship. And I was on the ship. I was living in Baja at the time, and there were all these ships every day up in the sky anyway. But I had this regression, and I found myself on the ship, and everyone in my group, I had a group called Baja Paranormal at that time, and they were all asleep on the ship like this. I was the only one awake. I was the only one awake. And that's a metaphor. So it's the truth. So I was on a platform and I had a chair and I used to do cervical adjustments for my patients in a chair. So it was like very familiar to me. They were in a chair and I was connecting them to the heavens and the earth. And I was one person at a time. And my guides were reminding me that I had made a vow, not one soul shall be lost. So I do believe that even the ones who are not waking up right now will not be lost. If they don't come with us on this journey, it could be because the light is so high and it's too high for them yet. And it could be that they have another go around here on the planet. Now the go around is about 10 or 12,000 years. So it's not an easy go around. Well, actually now I'm hearing possibly 1,000. So maybe I'm not accurate. Is it 1,000? Is it about 10,000? It's a cycle. But that's not a bad thing. There's no good or bad. That's not a bad thing.
Right.
And still not one soul shall be lost. They may just have to go around again. And look, guys, we've gone around a lot of times. And we know what that's like, but they don't know what that's like. They don't even know that they could have gotten off. Remember, they haven't had that awakening where they get that they're the power that runs through them.
So why do you think we keep coming back to help, Joan? Because I feel like a lot of us didn't have to.
Oh, well, the call went out. The call went out eons ago that planet Earth was going to need us. And we volunteered. We came down here. I like to say we had a clipboard that had our assignment and that had all the powers and tools that we needed. We had a toolkit. But we came down to a planet of forgetfulness. Now, the other thing that happened is that Atlantis was destroyed, Lemurian was destroyed, and those of us who were the gods and goddesses here on the planet, or the high priests and the priestesses, or the oracles, were the ones most tortured through the lifetimes until we could wake up. And it was written already that in these times, humanity would awaken. So we've been in massive training from the dark, because I have memories of awful lifetimes, to, learning how to hold this power until we're needed. Now, humanity is going through an uplifting, but, humanity has been has been controlled by the controllers for many, many, many lifetimes. In the 1500s, there was the call of freedom, and the giants helped us in those days, and it looked like humanity would win. But unfortunately, they got the best of us again. The giants were kind of fossilized and put in deep coma. And we have had a lot of retribution and very difficult times since then.
Yeah.
However, because it's been encoded that by 2030 we will have hit that ascension button, we're all coming back together, and the energy is this time, planet, we shall be freed. We
Yeah.
shall be free. And that is true. And we helped to seed this planet. Yes, we did. We helped to seed it. We're creator beings. We helped create planet Earth and other universes as well. Each of you, when you get your full powers back, is a creator God of your own. You are directly connected to the source God, and you have your own energy. Now, I've never spoken of this publicly because I guess it's very clear to me today. I've been spending the whole weekend teaching about Atlantis and running Atlantis conference. So I don't know.
Are
I'm
you in
really
Glastonbury?
today.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, yeah. So I remember coming down off a light grid and jumping in, and everybody around me on the light grid, all my spirit team saying, "Oh my God, she's going in. What's she thinking?"
She's going in. And because we were called and because we knew that this was one of our assignments, also I have a friend who used to say a joke that we would get hazard pay. We didn't do it for the hazard pay, but we did it because this is our karmic path to reawaken humanity and reawaken this planet. And this is a beautiful planet. And it's very powerful. And the Nephilim, yes, and the Nephilim have been very challenging for humanity. They were part of the gods. There were many different giants and many different kinds of gods that subjected humanity to be in a subservient position, and that seeded us. That we have that genetic coding of many, many of us are hybrid beings that have that genetic coding. You can be a celestial and a star being simultaneously.
So I love that you spoke about the giants, because that I love that, because I used to see them when I was younger walking around, and they would laugh when I would see them, like, "Oh, she recognizes me." But are they still walking among us, or are they
So
asleep for most people?
the giants you can see the giants in the mountains. If you look at many of the mountains, and you can go to my Telegram channel at Joan of Angels, where I put in everything I see about the giants, about a lot of this. I'm very curious being. Hopefully I'll do some giant workshops soon. But the giants walked among us, but they were very tall giants. We're talking about beings that were hundreds or thousands, really tall. And if you look at some of the mountains that they call mountains, they actually are giant trees. Now, we had more oxygen in the air then, and things were huge. But giant trees that were cut down just like this, they call them plateaus. But
Yeah.
if you look at them from above and you walk around, they look just like the root of a tree. But you're talking about something that's a mile high. So if it's a mile high, how tall would that being be? Like, how tall was that being to cut down something a mile high? So these are the giant, giant, giant beings, the Nephilim. And they've been in suspended animation under Antarctica and also in these mountains. And some of them are waking up, yes. And there's many of us who are working to wake up the giants. And I've been learning, they've showed me some processes how I can do that. So I had some specific experiences this year of being inside the god Ra and the goddess Hathor. And as I was doing it, as I was in their bodies, which were very high, and looking down at the people, which were ants, it was like an engine turned on in the being that I was in. And they explained to me that many of us who are so connected, that one of our jobs is we can actually wake up these giants who are now aligned with humanity and who will wake up. And so the giants are frozen or fossilized into the mountains. And they're frozen under the Antarctic, but they are waking up.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. I love that. Do you know about the hairy people? Annie's asking.
No. No, Annie, give us a little clue about them in your comments, because I'd like to know more about the hairy people. But some of the giants were very hairy, by the way. And there's pictures, there's old photographs in the late 1800s and the early 1900s where you'll see giants that are about 15 to 20 feet tall walking very naturally around humanity. And I just put some on my Telegram channel yesterday because
How
every
fun.
time I come across them, I save everything on my Telegram channel so I can either watch it later or I can do a program about them soon
I
when
love
I
it.
settle down.
I love it. So, do you feel like we were kind of like the elementals are now? Because I feel like a lot of the elementals, when they come in, are these little sparkly figures, and I feel like a big giant around them. Is
Well,
that
you
like
probably are.
a cycle, or is it?
Well, I like, what is your question really?
Um, were we the elementals in that time frame?
No,
No. Okay.
no, we were not. So we were not the elementals. The elementals, the fairies. Now, some of us were, well, I should rephrase that. Some of us have been fairies.
Yeah.
I remember being a fairy queen. Some of us have been mermaids. I remember in Lemuria, and
Right.
we can remember that. I know I'm talking to the right tribe here.
Oh, yeah.
Um, some of us were goddesses and high priestess, and we all had magical energies. Now, do those fairies still exist? Yes. There are places around the world where they still live. Not necessarily in the cities, by the way. Now, I'm going to Glastonbury next month, and we're doing a big conference. In fact, I should put it in the chat, ascensionglastonbury.com. I will be speaking there, and I'm co-producing a conference there. And Glastonbury, if you are any kind of intuitive, you can feel some of that energy. So going to sacred places, the portal is open. The dimensions are, the other dimensions are easily accessed.
Wow. Well,
Right?
I'm just trying to find that for you, but I'll look again. Oh golly, I went back to the wrong place. There we go. Here I am. I'm
Oh, I
back.
know. That happens, right? There you
Yeah.
are running a show and you can't find your person, right? Where is she?
Yeah. Everybody's talking about the spirits and the fairies, and Annie's saying they live in Middle Earth. Oh, also called Sasquatch. The
Oh yeah,
hairy being.
and there's a lot of, and these beings are real and they still exist and they're still alive. And some people see them, and they are around. Here's the thing. The controllers, whoever think they're in charge of planet Earth, which was a slave planet, by the way, but the slaves are rebelling, and they don't want us to know. So even though evidence points to the existence of Atlantis, or evidence points to the existence of cities that are now underwater, that were made by an advanced civilization that happened to look just like the same thing they have in South America. So these Egyptian pyramids look the same in South America. And they're actually also found in the Grand Canyon, which the CIA won't let us see. So you have to think, why don't they want us to know that these cities were all around the world and they were built by the same people?
Yeah.
And so that is another deep dive that I'm working on too.
Is that working with the raw in that?
I don't know if it's working with the Ra. There's an ancient civilization called Tartari that was deliberately eradicated a few hundred years ago. And so, but what specifically I'm talking about is that these civilizations had the same structures, the same kind of architecture, the same pyramids. And apparently the United States has more pyramids than any other nation in the planet. And the evidence really points to the fact that there was one set of beings that were creating these massive structures that were for giant people, not little people, giant people. Because if you see the old staircases, a human could not walk. I mean, the stairs are 20 feet, 30 feet tall. Like, who would build that? A human couldn't. So what they've done is that anytime we have an aha, like, or an evidence of something, we're gaslighted. We're told it doesn't exist. You're a quack. You're a conspiracy theorist. You're a nutcase. We're going to put you in the hospital and medicate you for seeing this, because they do not want us to wake up. They would
Right.
like their agenda, which I call a fast, kind of a totalitarian type of agenda. That's the one they're looking for. And that's why I'm out here trying to wake up all of you so that you can get your wings on. And that's why I teach people how to wing fluff. I do wing fluffing sessions, guys, where I help you learn to step in and connect. It's important.
So this is at your website, and you have all sorts of different kinds of training that we can go to there, right?
I do. The classes are just being put up, but the best way is to work with me privately. Also, if you're interested, I do soul awakening sessions, which are really good. And then we go from there on what aspects you like. I have one client that is a world renowned dancer, and she hired me to help her really become a beacon of light when she's performing. That in that room, and I get chills because dance is also a sacred way of waking up people. So she's becoming this really high vibrational being that every move she makes just can change the planet.
Amazing. I love that. And it is so beautiful, isn't it? There's a Vedic dance too, isn't there?
And there's the Sufi dancing.
Oh gosh, yes, Rumi.
The Sufi dancing where they become a vortex.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I do teach a lot about how to become a vortex of energy, how to raise your light frequency so high that people just look at you. You walk in a room and they're stunned. They're stunned because the light is so strong, it kind of wakes them up. That's my mission. I want to wake you up so you don't even know you don't even know what happened. So you can send your antenna high and connect with all of our antennas so that we can then go around the world spreading miracle seeds.
I love that. Annie says we are sovereign here.
We are, and we are the front line. And that's why these memories are so important. And that's why waking up. So I know absolutely that some of you are waking up just listening to me. I'm telling you things that have just been shown to me in the last few days about some of this. But when it was shown to me, I woke up even to the next level. And I want all of you to wake up. I don't want to be awoke by myself, just so you know. I'm committed to this timeline of vibrational beings that will help heal the planet and free us from these controls. Because understand this, these controls are coming, and the censorship has already happened, and the work that we do is not going to be supported. I mean, we have it right now. We have a renaissance of being supported, but maybe not. Magic and miracles is not on their agenda. It's on our agenda. We have to hold that. We have to keep that strong. We have to do whatever we take. Initiation took lifetimes to really, and then it took lifetimes to recall your memories. But this is the lifetime where things are in alignment and synchronized so that it's easy. Well, not easy. It's really not easy. but it is so synchronic that we can do it together and we can master this. And we are the bridge builders for others to walk upon. Yes, Lauren, brilliant. I want to say hi to all of you. I love these comments.
Yeah.
I absolutely. So go to my website, guys, and sign up and take a peek so that you can, take advantage if you feel called to find out what you need to do to access this. Are you able to find out what is our starseed? Well, I don't always tell people what starseed you are unless I'm told to. I can tell if you're an angelic and a celestial. I can usually kind of tell if you have ET energies flowing through you. And often I do, but I don't always, I can't promise that, but it is easy to find out your starseed. you start connecting to your guides and the energy, and then you start acknowledging your own intuition and the downloads that you're already getting. And I'm waking up so quickly now. I've had 32 activations to wake up, but I'm all my life. It's taken me 32 activations to get this. My entire life to wake up now to being this being. But they are designed to really wake you up. And when the more you get these memories, the higher your frequency becomes.
And a lot of it's about remembering now, isn't it, with these downloads?
It's all about remembering.
Yeah.
It's all about stepping into the gifts that you have that are right there waiting. And that's why I say this show, this interview is an activation. And that's because of you, Terry. You're so active and awake yourself that it's allowing me to share what's really considered advanced spiritual material.
This tribe we call ourselves a tribe, and they are very advanced. Annie says she's a slow starter and introvert.
Oh, you know what, honey? Being an introvert is wonderful because you can go inside and you can connect to your guides. I am an extroverted introvert. And so what that means is I come alive when I'm with people. I come alive when I do the energy, the work. And I've learned to overcome my own fears so I could show up. But then I really prefer solitude. I meant 7 years that I rarely left my house in the desert. So I understand introvert, but you may be called to connect with people and share what you're learning, or you'll know, follow the guidance you are getting.
Yeah.
And trust it. And that's the other thing, trusting. I got guidance 20 years ago that I was a goddess and connected to the gods, but I would poo-poo it. And I was like, oh, and I would do readings for everyone and tell them where they were or the energy they'd run. But I wouldn't accept that it was me.
Wow.
But now that I've accepted that it's me, there's no stopping me.
I love it because I feel like you're just a sense of joy coming out of that. I want to say the channel, but coming out of the computer, coming out of the light.
Yes. I have a genetic mutation that no one else on the planet has. That's why I'm Joan of Angels. This genetic mutation has been told to me that I infuse people with the possibility of miracles. I can infuse your DNA coding and your whole light essence with the possibility of miracles. And I do it, and I've been doing it unconsciously. And I was just told that recently. She said, Joan, did you know you have a genetic mutation? And it's a one-of-a-kind mutation. It was like, oh God, like a genetic defect. Oh my God, what am I going to do? And then when she said it, my spark went off, because it's true. When people are around me, they feel like they can do it. Yeah. They feel inspired. They feel uplifted. Guys, I've trained myself to be this way, and you too can train yourself to be this way. I've trained myself to let the reason I'm here finally come forward. And that's why you're feeling it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why my feet are levitating. It's like.
And we used to levitate. Do you know that the monks used to levitate in the 15, 16, 1700s? There's reports of them being in the monasteries, lifting themselves off the ground. And reports that there were the monks and the high priest there that could turn water into wine and flour into bread, 1 loaf into 1,000,000 loaves. And those were people who were trained to do that. So we too, now I have not turned water into wine, nor have I created multiple loaves, but we have that power to remember. And there are ancient mystery schools that teach these ancient skills, but there's levels of initiations to get there.
Sure. And there's something to be said for stepping into that at a pace, isn't there? Gently with ourselves.
Well, some people get immersed quickly. I've had a slow awakening.
Yeah.
And have had to heal so much trauma and trauma, not just this life, but I was brutally traumatized for talking to the gods. It wasn't allowed. Remember, we were, especially women, we were slaves. We were not allowed. The king was the only one allowed to talk to the gods, not, the people, not us, unless you were an oracle. But those were, at certain specific times. So blessed that you're here, that you're being activated right now, that your DNA right now is awakening. And we're inserting new codes of light and new codes of memory for you. And I'm betting that some of you actually tonight will have great memories, great dreams.
Yeah, I love that. Annie Bear asks, I'd like to know which large crowds I speak to in dreams, please. Thank you.
Which large crowds you speak to in dreams? Well, my 3D mind said, oh God, how am I going to answer that? And then I heard the answer. And they showed me that you were on a mountaintop, at the top of the mountain, and there were thousands of people in front of you. You've been doing this for many times. And it wasn't just one crowd, it would be many crowds. People like us stood on the mountaintop and shouted. So where it was, Atlantis, Egypt, South America. There were very many places that were high spiritual temples, and many of you were in those high spiritual temples. Many of you were initiates and priestesses in those temples. And royalty.
Yeah. And Annie also asked, am I a keeper of stories and old knowledge, Native American many, many times, and in this lifetime as well?
So Annie Bear, you're so beautiful. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say to you that in a way, we want those memories to be woken up in you. And you're probably telling stories of old knowledge already.
Yes.
And if you're telling stories of old knowledge already, the reason you know the old knowledge is because you taught this old knowledge. So if you start to affirm, I am a keeper of stories, I am a keeper of the ancient stories of old, I am remembering more and more every day. So it's not about where you were, Salt and Sweetie. I can't tell you that at this moment. Sometimes I can tell you that in a reading. But I will say this, if you feel like you were, you were. I felt like I was, but I didn't admit it because I didn't trust that intuitive hit. Now that I trust it, I'm getting a ton of information, a lot of information.
Yeah, when we step into our light, things change, don't they?
Okay, so Kat, this is a very interesting thing. Oh yeah, I just did an Instagram post on that too. It's like she remembered who she was. It's one of the last posts. People really love that. Other psychics are saying ETs will be making themselves known now. Why is that? Do we feel we're on the edge of destroying ourselves? So planet Earth can go two ways. Planet Earth can be destroyed and taken over. There's threat of nuclear war this week. And so there has that aspect of it. But many of us know that we came here for this ascension. And I am convinced the ascension is going to happen. The more of us wake up, the higher the frequency is of the planet, and the more the dark can't exist here. So, and that's a separate subject of the ETs. So if you decide and choose that ascension pathway and join the collective who are doing that, then yes, we will create the light. Now the ETs are making themselves known more, and they will be disclosed more. In fact, I even posted a video about what's under Antarctica, and there's a tremendous amount of ETs that are frozen in time there, and they're giant beings. Tremendous amount of extraterrestrials. I've actually seen an ET. I've seen two extraterrestrials. I've seen a reptilian shapeshift right in front of me. I had tall whites come to visit me in the desert, and And I lived in a place in Arizona where we had ascended masters and ETs walking around this house all the time. So they are making themselves known to the people. They will be making themselves now. All right, this is a twofold answer. I was about to say, you know, a lot of us think disclosure isn't happening until the government admits disclosure. The government has a plan, though, of disclosing it in a way that's not true disclosure. They would like to create a false flag so that we're afraid of the ETs and that we go into a new world, one world government.
Mm-hmm.
So they're creating a plan that we might be attacked by extraterrestrials. And that's a possibility, but it's a false kind of illusion. But nevertheless, there is that happening. So I say that, but many of my friends are channels. Viviane, you'd love to have her on your show too, Viviane Chauvet. She's a Arcturian. She's a high Arcturian star being. She was actually born on a ship. And she's from the Arcturian Council of Light. So many star beings are making themselves known, and I can connect you with her.
Thank
They're
you.
making themselves known. And that too is very exciting, guys. So they will come and make themselves known for you. There's places that will call them easier. So like Glastonbury, I'm going to be in Glastonbury in Egypt. Those are places where the veil is thin. And there have been many ET sightings. I never had an ET sighting in Glastonbury, but I might. I've had other being, you know, it's all a matter of how we do it.
We've been having the tall whites visit us in meditations in the mornings for the last several months, which has been interesting because I didn't quite know who they were, but they had such a steady, firm, strong guardianship feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So safe.
They do. So there's the tall whites that work with our government, and then there's the tall whites that work with us. The tall whites, they're known because they're all white. I had a tall white that I had this figure that was a tall white, actually ET, and I painted him gold because he's an ambassador and he was gold. His head is white, he was gold, and he used to download tremendous. Unfortunately, he's in my storage unit right now, but he used to download tremendous information to me about what was going on. And then in the desert, I had a tall white come and visit me. And he explained to me that he came in a spaceship from Joshua Tree, from over the mountains where the underground bases are.
Oh, okay.
He had a little, he said it's like a taxi. We're in a little saucer taxi that we hopped on because we knew you were in that frequency and we wanted to say hi.
I love that. I love that. I know you want to talk about your beautiful artwork too. And it seems like it's kind of a portal. Not kind of.
Yes. The art is a
that
portal to other dimensions. And you picked the three portaliest portals around.
Of course.
The one on the left is, I call it like an angel transport station, a heavenly. It's where we meet and then get sent out to different parts of the universes. So I love this one. That's one of my favorites. It's a beautiful temple. And it's a gathering spot of angelic beings and celestials and extraterrestrials. And then just like we have airports, there are starports, there's spaceports where we gather. And this is on the 12th dimensional realm. The one on the right, and I'll get to the center one in a minute, but the one on the right represents when we left Atlantis. We were transported in spaceships and in capstones and little pyramids like that was set onto the top of the pyramids. And so that was a completion, but some of us went to Egypt from Atlantis by that. Now the middle is the soul pods. So there was a film many years ago, I don't remember the name of it, but at the bottom of the water were these pods. And do you know what the movie I'm talking about? It was a funny movie, and the old people found the pods. And
oh yes, that was
I'm going to have to watch it. I can't even remember the name of it. But these are soul pods. These are how
wow.
souls can travel and be lifted up and integrated
They were in the
into
pool.
others. Yeah. And also, to me, it's also a reminder of our higher self and our other selves that are on other interdimensional frequencies while we were sitting here listening to me.
Wow.
Yes, it was, I think it was called the cocoon.
Cocoon, that's right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right,
Thank you
Diane.
so much. Who was that who remembered? Cheyenne. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was cocoons that we should all watch it again. But
I
but yes,
and these are all available on Etsy.
these are all available on the website. And this past year, I had many people come to me, many mediums and psychics come to me actually, and tell me that it was time for me to do these soul essence portraits. So a soul essence portrait is something that is, we do a soul essence reading. I connect with you on the higher realms. It could take me a week or 2 weeks for this to come through, but I create your soul essence portrait. This soul essence portrait, when you, and I can talk about those two also, but when it's in your house or home, what it does is it raises your vibrational frequency so high that you can never forget who you are. It's impossible to deny that you are a higher vibrational frequency person if you know, if you see this around you every day. And it's true of this art too, that when you when you have this art in your home, it creates portals of light, portals into other dimensional realms, which is my best place to go. I find I have a lot more fun interdimensionally.
It is a lot of fun, isn't it? Yeah. It seems like people um, are more welcoming there of our woo woos.
Well, coming out in the world, guys, you are probably all fifth dimensional beings learning how to navigate your third dimension here.
Yeah.
But in truth, coming out as an angelic high frequency being, I'm that angel in the room. I'm that woo woo person. I don't care anymore. I resonate. In the beginning, I used to go, "Oh, I'm Joan of Angels." Like I was embarrassed to say it in a crowd of normal people. But now, I just resonate who I am because that is really important that each of you put on your light and resonate as the unique, unusual, high frequency human, godlike being that you are. And the more, which is why I teach wing fluffing, the more you resonate that in the world, the more you change the energy around you. And then the world becomes easier for you to navigate.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Um, so you work a lot with um, uh, new realities, right?
I work with Alan a lot. I do some
Alan.
shows with Alan
Yeah.
called Higher Ground with Joan and Alan, something like that. It's a great show when we do it, but because I'm traveling, it's harder for me to actually have consistent shows.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
suppose I'm not doing consistent shows yet, but I will be releasing a lot of new material soon.
Okay.
But so I do work with new realities. Alan is one of the hosts of the Glastonbury conference, and he's
Yeah.
also one of the tour guides on the Egyptian tour.
And
So
you
yeah,
work
I
with
guess I do work with him a lot
yeah,
personally.
and it's interesting the group there and all the different modalities that come together of healing and light workers and everybody has a different flavor, don't they?
Well, we all do because we all have a different soul purpose.
Yeah.
The first time I did the soul essence portrait, I was working with this woman, and suddenly I got the aha. So just because you volunteered to come down here, guys, it doesn't mean they accepted you. Honest. Many people applied, few were chosen. Why? First of all, they needed to know that you wouldn't forget. That even if they put you through torture and lifetimes of forgetting, you'd eventually wake up. So you had to prove that you would actually wake up. And then you had to master all the skills you came down here with, including being able to walk between worlds. I mean, you had to be a master to come down here. So I want to assure you of that. I'm not even sure what question I'm answering, but that's why we're here. We're here to master those gifts because you don't want to come back again. Honestly, to goodness, there's a portal opening that we can. I don't want to escape the wheel of reincarnation. There's a portal opening so we can ascend to the higher frequencies. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the portal I'm going in and taking people on.
Thank you. I'm on it.
Right? I'm
I'm
so
grabbing
glad,
on.
Terry. I am so happy you reached out to me.
I am too. This has been such a delight. I feel like you've raised everybody's frequency here.
I hope so.
Oh, I think so, definitely. Oh, Cheyenne S. Can you speak to the backlash against Starseed ideology? It's being tied to evil intent and propaganda, and people are confused and afraid of something not intended to be malicious. Please address.
All right. I'm going to address it in a way that could be a little obtuse, just because if I was direct, it could get Terry's show banned, okay, and censored, and because they're censoring all of this kind of information. So when this pandemic happened, there was a split in the spiritual community. Many people followed the government and did all of the stuff they forced everyone to do and followed the protocol. And in the awakened spiritual community, the divide was huge. I mean, huge. People who were high spiritual beings were now fighting among themselves and divided. Conscious Life Expo for 2 years, if you didn't have the same opinion, then you were banned from even speaking. So the division that was happening in society was deliberately made to split the highest frequency people on the planet. Of course, it's an evil intent. It's been done deliberately for the same reason. The school system these days is only to program you. The school system doesn't teach you how to think for yourself. It doesn't teach you how to meditate. It doesn't teach you how to access your own information. The foods are designed, and the chemicals in these foods are designed to make you infertile, to give you cancer, to give you Alzheimer's, to cover up your pineal gland, and to stop your connection to the divine. The air we breathe, the chemicals in the air, the chemtrails are designed to do that as well. You're cleaning, if you're using the over-the-counter cleaning stuff, every time you spray Lysol, you're killing cells in your body, and you're turning off your own estrogen, and you're turning off your body's own hormonal system. The chemicals in the food. And now they've even, Bill Gates, who some of you might love him, but Bill Gates has taken our organic food, and they have a new product, starts with A, Peel. And a peel is something that they cover your organic produce with now. Not everywhere yet, but a lot of places, and they cover your organic food with a sticky substance around it, and you cannot wash it off. Can't wash it off. You can't even cut the skin off, because it's even down to the seed. So why are they doing that? There's a deliberate intention to destroy our way of being, and to destroy especially people like us who are awake.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it like it is. I don't know. I've stripped it off I'm saying things you don't even hear me say on my shows.
No, I love it, because I feel like everything's addictive too right now, isn't it? And working with our egos, definitely.
Yeah.
Food's addictive. Computers are addictive.
Awakened people are addictive, are being banned and censored, and people who don't want to follow the agenda of everyone else want to walk their own path of awakening. Yes, they've done it deliberately, guys. They have to have done it deliberately. The government knows that this food is poisonous. They haven't stopped it. They know that the chemtrails are happening, and that people are dying and getting cancer and Alzheimer's from that, and losing their pineal gland. They know that. It's deliberate. And now there's a new plan out where they're trying to deliberately stop the sun. And in many places, you'll see these new kinds of clouds that look like globs. They don't look like the old clouds. They look like globs. And now they have a new name for them. But that is the way that they're shutting down the sunlight. Now, who in their right mind would shut down the sun? The sun activates your pineal gland. The sun can heal you from cancer. Vitamin D at very high levels is needed in our body and can prevent cancer. They only let you buy it in small amounts, number one. And number two, they're going to shut off the sun. How do you think we're going to get plants? They want to make chemical plants. You know, they want to make vegetarian food out of chemicals. I don't know about you, but the meatless burger, what do you think the Beyond Burger is? It's all chemicals. You'd be better off eating meat. Yeah. And you know, I hate to say it, but you know, they're shutting down farms and dairy farms. So we are in a war of the light. I suppose if I was to sum up what I said, I would say we are in a war, dark and light. We're in a war, good versus evil. But we're in a war for humanity, to awaken humanity and to live to restore this planet to its high vibrational frequency. It is a war. It is a battle, and it goes back and forth. And yes, contact Terry, absolutely, because I can tell she teaches you how to hold your space.
Oh, thank you. And we've reached an hour, 101. So I know your time is short here. Anything else that you'd like for us to go from here with today?
I'm hearing the weirdest noises. Guys, you're on the show tonight and you're working with Terry because you already know that you're a powerful being. You already know you have these gifts and skills. So I just say, if you feel called to work with me, reach out to me. If you feel like I've been your teacher before, reach out to Terry to do this work and to make a commitment to really raise your level even higher, because the stakes are the planet. The stakes are our lives. And it is true. This isn't made up. This is really true. So I say re-listen to this interview. I'm going to re-listen to it because I've said things that I just didn't even know that I was really conscious of all the time.
It was very activating, Joan. I mean, it was a pleasure. It was a true joy, and you do bring joy to the party.
It's my genetic defect, guys, my little mutation. I am a star being, and so are you. We are all, if you're following and listening and liking this, you can be sure you're probably a celestial. And you can be a celestial and a starseed.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Joan. And thank you, chatters, and thank you, moderators. And everybody have a beautiful day. Namaste. My light sees your light. Have a beautiful time. Bye-bye.